Here he is.
Eric says, that was the best bit you've ever done on the show. Walking along while laughing like a fool, but I don't care. Jay says, I'm getting a lot of funny looks in the gym as I'm chuckling away on the treadmill at the thought of the sizzler versus the sausage.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
It's a big game, isn't it? Anyway, it's time now for the biggest mission of the weekend with Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
The biggest mission of the weekend on talkSPORT with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Rent from the best lineup in the UK. Enterprise has 450 branches with all the vehicles your business needs.
And sitting in the driver's seat of a Ford Sierra Cosworth, which he got from Enterprise Rent-A-Car, is Lars Silvertsen. It was very easy to rent it as well.
Simple.
Yeah.
Hey, Lars,
and
welcome.
it was, let's be real,
Yes.
it was a tangible upgrade on the Nissan Cube. I feel like we're moving in the right direction now. As much as I enjoyed the Cube, it's a unique vehicle.
An upgrade, yet an older car, the Sierra Cosworth.
Yeah, but that's sometimes it goes that way in life.
I suppose so.
That's the versatility of Enterprise. Biggest mission then, Lars, what have you got for us?
What is it?
You know what? I am going to go Spurs again, just because, we heard it there in the news report. There's so many injuries. Yeah. I am sure if you run down to the bookies, you will find teams that are longer odds to win a game this weekend. That is definitely true. But I just think going into this game against the Newcastle team, who are bang on form, like Newcastle are back at it after having been in a bit of a slump earlier in the season, and the mood is starting to turn, I think, in a real way. By all accounts, the vibes have been bad in the last in recent home games for Spurs, and having to go into this now with possibly Fraser Forster missing as well, and it's just so many players not around.
There's a positive.
Udogie picking up an injury, like it's all. Forster had actually been low-key a positive for Spurs this winter because he did better than some suggested he might. I would say he's saved the ball with some regularity,
especially in the games where he gave the opposition a couple of goals. It was really good.
That obviously was not ideal, but that goes back to the other discussion we keep having about Lars Postecoglou, which I wonder, is it even worth to do it again? We do this sort of, should he adapt his methods? Should he not? We've had weeks now of the same thing, but I guess this is where we're at. Point being, I'm fairly sure he trusts Fraser Forster more than he trusts young Brandon Austin, whose CV is a little bit patchy, you have to say. I have been known to dabble in the MLS, I must admit, but I did not watch any of his 5 games on loan at Orlando City back in 2021.
What are you?
And beyond that, he does. Yeah, I know. So beyond that, he doesn't have a lot of first-team experience, and this must be a concern for them going into this game.
Yeah, I tend to feel that if you think. And if you don't think Ange should go now, and I don't at all, I'm not going to change my opinion this afternoon or after the Liverpool game in the Carabao Cup because of the injuries are ridiculous. Now, there is a question about whether his training methods and the football they play contribute to those muscle injuries. That is a genuine question. There are questions about, are they adapting enough? I understand all that. But, I spoke to Mark Langdon, who listeners will know from the Trans-Euro Express and other shows, articulating it perfectly about the fact that Tottenham have for years just not paid the top whack of wages. They should finish about 5th to 7th. If they have a massive injury problems, they might finish 9th. That's sort of what's happening. Like, it's actually not surprising, I think.
No, I think that's pretty succinct. And then we go back to the discussion, should they just be spending more money? But that's easy to say from the outside when you don't know how the business model works and what money they actually have to spend, because they are a safe, self-sustaining business in a way that other Premier League clubs are not. And it turns out you don't really get medals for not having PSR problems. Maybe that should be a thing. Maybe we should, instead of just docking teams points when they get PSR problems, the ones that's the furthest away from having a PSR problem should get some kind of trophy for that. I don't know, but that is something that's like, it's a positive for the club, but you don't really, that it's not gonna light up the message boards, I don't think.
Yeah, we'll move on from Spurs, but I just wanted to. He came out yesterday, and it was in his press conference, and he was sort of saying, "Well, that's just how it is, isn't it? That's life, That's just how it goes, isn't it? Sometimes, you lose lots of players, and that's just how it goes, and that's life, and you ought to deal with that." Which I like as a philosophy to life, to move on. If that was my football manager, I'd sort of go, "Yeah, I think you're sort of employed to do something about that." I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So we revealed exclusively on talkSPORT this time last week that I am in fact not a physical fitness expert. That's something that I think listeners were surprised to learn. So I kind of tread very carefully in that direction. But it does occur to me that, for instance, in German, the German word for the football coach, the word they use is trainer, because it's kind of implied you are the guy who is training these people. And we have this culture, yeah, that you're right. I think you've touched on something really interesting there, Charlie. We have this culture of just when a team has an injury crisis, you're just, well, what can the manager do? They're all injured. But like at the end of the day, it is kind of your job to prepare them physically. Yeah, to make sure they're physically prepared to play football. And if they keep not being fit, that's got to count against you somehow, yeah.
Let's move on. Crystal Palace v Chelsea. We didn't really talk to Kwaku about that. Bad defeat for Chelsea v Ipswich. I would say, Lars, when they were finding some really good form, weren't they? I think they lost twice over Christmas, in fact.
Yeah, so I'm kind of here to give the opinions, I guess, but I kind of want to turn it back on you guys a little bit, because I had a discussion with a friend of mine about this. Are Chelsea in a mini crisis now after drawing to Everton, losing to Fulham and losing to Ipswich? Those are kind of stinky results when you were previously playing as well as Everton were. Would you say that they are in a mini crisis, or are we just kind of...
No, because do you know what? I think it's just life. That's what I think.
It's just life.
No, I think that because I think the expectations certainly for neutrals weren't that high. Even when they were doing really well, you were like, well, okay, if they keep this up, that's great. So I think Maresca still has done a brilliant job, and you dot those results around, and it's not so much of a crisis. But if they lose today, he's got to go.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of came down on this is not really a crisis, and the main reason because I didn't think the performances were awful. Like the 0-0 against Everton, they got diced. It happens. You went away to Everton, had a lot of possession, had a fair number of chances, but just couldn't get through the sort of the Dychian wall that was at the Goodison, and that will happen occasionally in this league. You come up against Dyche, and this happens to you. And again in the Ipswich game, they had so much possession, so many more shots, so many more chances. It was really like if that game had been played 100 more times and gone in a similar way, like they wouldn't have lost many of them. It's just the thing that can happen in football occasionally. And the derby against Fulham. Yeah, that's maybe less good, and that's a sore one for the fans, I think, because it meant an awful lot to the Fulham supporters. But yeah, maybe a lot of games this time of year, maybe the team was a bit tired and not 100% up for local derby. It can happen. So I feel like these were more like kind of little accidental slip-ups that happens throughout the course of a season, except when all three of them come in a row, it looks a little bit bad. But I'm not really concerned about Chelsea in terms of their progression and steaming towards the Champions League spot, which they'll almost certainly get, and that would be a season well done for them this year, I think.
I think what it means is that other teams dropping points who are in the title race means that it's much more likely that Liverpool win the title. Arsenal got a Brighton today, and I thought that I really think Arsenal are in this title race, like massively, because we just don't know. We talk about injuries, you don't know what's going to happen to Liverpool. Lots of players, Arne Slot's first season, etc. And I thought Arsenal looked really good against Brentford. Brighton are not on a great run, but they are capable. So I think Arsenal without Saka, if they do it again, I think they can really ramp the pressure up onto Liverpool today.
Yeah, no, I've always felt Arsenal were the team most likely to keep track. Perhaps I'm saying that because I picked them to win before the season, and your first loyalty is always to your own sort of potentially bad predictions. You really want that to come true, but I think what was very significant about the Brentford game was that the really great goal by Gabriel Martinelli, and that's kind of like
it was a good finish.
We're looking at like what Arsenal needs, what needs to pick up for Arsenal for them to compete with Liverpool for the rest of the season. It comes back to this dependency they've had on Bukayo Saka, who's of course not available at the moment. It's absolutely crucial to see other attackers in that team really step up now. And we've seen Gabriel Jesus score some goals, and we saw that flash of what we know Martinelli can do. He's had a couple of moments recently, and that would be huge for Arsenal, I think, in their chances, because they are without Saka now for a little bit, and so they need the rest of them to step up. And both Jesus and Martinelli scoring is a big deal, and I concur with you. I definitely think it's plausible that Arsenal take as many, or if not more, points than Liverpool between now and the end of the season. The question is, will they take so many more points that they can close the gap and overhaul them? I mean, that is the thing. But we're expecting. Nothing seems to be going. I mean, something you could argue went wrong this week. I mean, but on the field, nothing seems to be going wrong for Liverpool this season. It's just every game, it seems like it just kind of works out for them. Surely that will not continue to be the case for 38 games. Surely at some point the wheels will come off in some kind of capacity.
I don't know if it will, because they've got They've got a really deep squad, Lars.
Yes.
They've got when they bring on subs, it's not like, oh, well, they have to make do with these people. They come on and it galvanises, or it strengthens, or it gives them extra pace. It does everything a bench is supposed to do at the moment. As we always say, if they lose Van Dijk, they might be in big trouble.
Maybe you detected some slight doubt and hesitation in my own voice as I was because as I was saying the words out loud, it's like, well, man, maybe they don't. Maybe it's just fine for all 38 games this season. The Salah thing, it's interesting to see how that will affect them. That he has said again that this will be his last season. I mean, he's hinted at it before. He's come out and said it pretty clearly now. But then again, this contract drama within it has been going on for a while, and he's played some of his best football for the club while this has been going on. So there's no reason why that would stop happening. So it seems to be maybe they just can't be stopped.
Yeah, maybe. Hey, thanks, Lars. Always nice to chat.
Great, Lars.
Anytime, guys.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.